Unsyndicated presents What the Puck with Sean Baligian.
Really is like a horror flick, all right? Last game of the year, question mark. Then last game of the year, part 2, question mark. Then I Know What You Did Last Summer on Friday the 13th when Halloween rolled around, part 3 comes in tonight. Is this the last game of the year? Well, we're here to talk about it. He's Mike. I'm Sean. Glad you could join us. It's a Friday night. I mean, what else would you rather do on a Friday night? I'd rather have all my friends in the basement as opposed to waiting for 30 kids to come over here. But here we are. What's going on, pal?
Not much. And you say, like, what would you rather be doing? I was jotting some stuff down as I was waiting for you guys. I don't know if I've been this excited for a Stanley Cup game in a long time.
I agree.
You know, and it has everything to do with this series. And I don't know if that's good or bad. I mean, this series has had some good and some bad. But I don't know what to think. At the top of my notes, I just wrote, this series is drunk. Like, what is going on with this series? I can't wait to see what's going on. What we said was going to happen, the opposite has happened. And what we are witnessing with Connor McDavid is something we haven't seen in a long time, Sean.
I can tell you definitively the last time I was this excited over the Stanley Cup final. It was 2021, right. But
yes.
That's it. No, but I agree. All of a sudden, yes, this is very intriguing. And honest to goodness, I don't have a strong rooting interest in this at all. I mean, obviously, you want to go with the team that you picked, right? And, I've gone with Florida for a long time now, so I got to stick with it. But as we talked about last week, Mike, last week? Yeah, it was last week. No, it wasn't last week. Whatever. With this extra day in there, it seems like last week. At some point in time, we have to sit back and say, okay, this isn't about what the other guy is or is not doing. This is about what Edmonton is doing. They're doing something right. I can't quite figure it out, but they're doing something. They're doing something right.
Absolutely. We started way back in game 1 talking about the Dallas series, and we thought, that's not going to happen. That Dallas ran out of gas. Dallas couldn't get it done. And then we saw the first 3 games and we're like, aha, we were right. It wasn't what Edmonton was doing. But at some point with game 4 and game 5, we've been talking slowly but surely, whether we're on the air or not, this is what Edmonton is doing. And we said it a lot last game in your basement that Edmonton's just all over them. And it is also, ironically, as we're having this conversation, a lot of what Florida is doing. They're playing very un-Florida-like.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Nick said, no, this is not the last game of the year. He said, McDavid, McMiracle. Eric said, what's going on, gentlemen? Weekend hockey, playoff, cold beer, life is good. Then ask what jersey you got in the back. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that's a Steve Yzerman jersey.
Well, let's see if I can get it there. Yes, that's a little autographed Steve Yzerman jersey.
Yeah. Ray said this is better than watching the Tigers and White Sox, and Florida has proven what so many say. The fourth one is always the hardest to get. Yes. And, Mike, I know we talked about this. I think we talked about this, you and I, when we did the high school show the other night. I know the similarities are going to come back and forth with what transpired in the Dallas series, where I'm going to say it again. Dallas ran out of gas. I mean, what's Pete DeBoer supposed to say? But Dallas ran out of gas. I don't know if that's 100% it because, and you can tell me if you agree or disagree. The way Florida came on late told me, okay, maybe it's not a gas issue. Does that make sense? Because with Dallas, it was a gas issue. Make no mistake about it. It was a gas issue. With Florida, the way they came on, I'm not going to lie to you. I thought as we were sitting here watching that game the other night, I thought they were going to tie the game. I really did. I thought, okay, here it is. They yanked the goaltender. Again, not with $120 left long before that. I thought that they were going to tie the game. It didn't come to fruition. I'm going to say it again. I don't want to like take anything away from Edmonton anymore. Edmonton's just getting work done.
Yeah, and up till that third period, we were talking about Florida's gas as the travel got to them. But then that third period, they did show a little bit. That's the only thing that gives me hesitation, or should give Edmonton hesitation going into the game tonight, was that Florida looked like Florida for the most part in that third period, and they show that they do have some gas in the tank. And if there was some pressure, maybe doing it at home was that pressure that could have caused a little bit of that, and then all of a sudden they got out of that funk. But I'll throw this back at you. What do you think, Sean, about all this talk about pressure and the pressures on this team or the pressures on that team, and that could be causing it? I see you shaking your head. Give me your thoughts on that.
I don't buy it. I just don't. I mean, I think at this point in the season, at this point of the series, I think pressure's on both these teams, right? I mean, Edmonton knows you have a stinker, especially at home, season's over. That's it.
Yeah.
Florida's sitting back right now saying, okay, this kind of sucks. It's happened a couple times in the Stanley Cup final. I remember when LA in Jersey, remember that series where LA looked like they were going to smoke them and Jersey came back and won those couple games. But hey, you know what? We take care of business in Edmonton. We did it in game 3. And we're raising the cup tonight and then having the long flight back down to South Beach. So for me, Mike, I think people are looking for stuff like that. When listen, game 7, all bets are off. If you're in game 7, then Edmonton's saying, we fought all the way back. You're on home ice. Screw you. We're here. We force this, but we're not there yet. Right now, I mean, I'd love to hear what you think and what others think. Right now, I think it's equal. You know, Edmonton, we have a stinker. The season's over. Florida says we have a stinker, and yeah, that sucks. We lost 3 straight games, but the good news is we head back to Sunrise and we have another opportunity at it. So I don't know. I'm not buying too much into it right now.
I don't. I mean, on top of these guys are professionals. This is what they do. There's pressure most nights, maybe not so much in the regular season, but when the playoffs come, that's what the playoffs are about. It's about pressure. So I'm agreeing with you. I think if there's pressure on both sides. Like you have to win these games. But game 7, like you said, all bets off. There's nothing you can ever predict of what's going to happen in a game 7.
I 100% the pressure falls on Florida at that point in time. I mean that. I think at that point in time, it's like, oh crap, how did we get to this point? The coach said, hey boys, hey coach, quite frankly, I hope I see you Monday. Game 7 only advantage is last change. Ray said, will Florida put Tkachuk together with Barkov and try to stop McDavid? That's a great question. Because what McDavid has done the last couple games, and we were talking about this before the game, Mike, I thought if Florida won game 5, it would probably be Barkov. I think the Conn Smythe has been cinched now. Now that it's gone to 6 and McDavid has put up back-to-back 4-point games, I think the Conn Smythe trophy already has Connor McDavid's name etched on it.
Yeah, what he's doing, we haven't seen since Gretzky and Lemieux.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what no one's ever done, back-to-back 4-point games in game clinching scenarios, right? When their backs against the wall. I can't even believe how excited I am to see what he can do tonight, because what he is doing, this is what legends are made of right here. Yep. Last game, just thinking about that goal where he dishes it off to Perry, that was the end of a 2-minute and 38-second shift, Sean.
Unbelievable.
That is unheard of. And I challenge anybody out there that's like, oh, whatever. You just go skate for 45 seconds straight and tell me how you're feeling, let alone 2 minutes and 38 seconds. I literally, this whole series, I keep saying, I can't believe what he's doing, and I can't believe what we're seeing, the turnaround.
Jason said, Sean, pick Edmonton tonight and end this. See how soon they forget. Mike, now, you know what, Mike? Now you're getting a taste. How soon they forget that I nailed the first 3 games and the score, mind you.
Yes.
But the last couple games, I thought Florida would finish it. I think Florida will finish it tonight. I'm not going to change my mind. I know, Mike, you're thinking game 7, but I'm not going to change my mind. I listen. The better player is Connor McDavid. Make no mistake about it. I still think the better team is the Florida Panthers. So we'll wait and see how it goes. It'll be interesting to see how it goes, and everybody can change their picks accordingly. But I'm staying with it. I said Florida in 5. I'll stick with Florida in 6. I know Bill said Edmonton in 6. He said Edmonton in 7. No, it's fine. I get it. If somebody wants to say that after what we saw, really, from the last period of game number 3 into game 4 and game 5, Edmonton has been the better team. Make no mistake about it.
They've been so far the better team. And if you think about where we were coming into this series, and we did a show and we were talking about it, and we talked about 3 things. We talked about defense, we talked about forwards, and we talked about goaltending. And we checked all 3 of those boxes for Florida, right? And now the turnaround. I mean, you look at Skinner. Skinner's now up above 900 save percentage, down to a 2.6. Bobrovsky's down below a 900. So we're going to check that one for Skinner. Skinner's the better goalie right now. Edmonton's third line with Janmark, Henrique, and Brown. Are they monsters right now? That was that depth we talked about, where we felt if Florida just ran their lines, that they'd be able to dominate this series. Then we go on the back end, where we thought Florida had the advantage on the back end. They've got Edmonton throws this guy in a couple games again, Broberg. Sorry, I never heard of him. He's a young kid. He's playing 17 minutes, and he's playing like a veteran right now. Now, defense-wise, Edmonton's on the advantage. I give all 3 checks to Edmonton right now. They're the better team all over in every category.
Ray said McDavid is a human video game. He's Tyreek Hill on skates. Todd, you know how I feel, said, imagine the pressure in Florida if they lose 3 straight. Seems like a disadvantage to be at home for game 7. You lose the first period and the fans are going to turn on you. Absolutely. I think the pressure's on the home team in game 7 anyway because of expectations. You're at home, so you're supposed to win, right?
Yeah.
But now in a series like this, after losing 3 straight, no doubt about it, the pressure's on Florida in a potential game 7. Sean has picked Florida to win every single game of this series. I did say Florida in 5, but after the first 3 games, I thought Edmonton was toast, and they weren't. Period. You give them credit, but I said Florida in 5 to start. Edmonton was better in game 1 also. Bill, I think that's a great point because people forget maybe the first 5 minutes of that game, Mike, where Edmonton was all over them, and Bob was first starting to put on the show. And then if you remember, they went the other way, and we talked about it at the time. That's such a debilitating blow to really control everything for the first 4.5 minutes and have a rush go the other way and end up in the back of your net. And then the gaff on the second goal. And all of a sudden you're down 2-0 and you're playing damn well. You know what I mean? That is a backbreaker, man. And we saw that in game 1.
Yeah. Sitting here all day in anticipation of this game, I started thinking that a shift or 2 or a bad play by Bob goes Bob. Edmonton could have won this series in 6 and 5, let alone could be going for the cup tonight at home, which gets me thinking of, if Bob has a good game tonight, does that sway anything away from the McDavid Conn Smythe thing? I don't think so. But these are the things that have been going through my head. And I was like, without Bob, this very much could be a cup-winning game for Edmonton in game 6. So that's a great point that game 1 could have went either way.
Yeah. Some comments. Eric said, I just don't want Ken Holland to hoist the cup. I always liked Ken. I on a personal level, I always liked Ken. I'm going to say again, I think a lot of the decisions the last few years were not Ken Holland's choice. I think a lot of those decisions were not Ken Holland's choice. Some of them he has to own. A lot of those decisions
They're for the streak. They're for the streak.
Yeah. Jason said, well, I bet Florida in 6 and DraftKings already has my money, so I'm sticking with my pick. Al, our buddy from Trenton, said, hi, Sean and Mike. Al, how you doing, buddy? If Florida loses, do you think fans would be hurt? It's not like it's a hockey city. If this was Boston or Montreal, the media would be killing them. You know what I would say to that? You're right. It's not like crazy coverage like Toronto or Montreal or even Detroit in that regard. But, and Mike, I don't know if you've ever been down there. There's a pretty good fan base down there. I was surprised. There's a pretty good fan base down there. And you have to remember, a lot of that fan base in that area are transplants from the north, whether they be Canadian snowbirds, whether they be people like me who are one day going to live in the Upper Keys and have season tickets to go see the Florida Panthers. There are a lot of, honestly, there are a lot of people like that down there that, I think have kind of gravitated to becoming, Panther fans. But I mean, I get your overall point, but I don't want to completely minimize it because I think those fans will probably be crapping their pants, Mike.
Yeah, they're going to, but let's also not forget we're not too far removed from this Florida team being the President Cup winning team and getting knocked out early in the playoffs, losing last year, going to the Stanley Cup Finals within a couple of years of being a franchise and losing to Colorado, and they've always bounced back. So will fans be upset 100% because this hasn't been done. I mean, no one comes back from 3-0 in the Stanley Cup Finals. However, I think that they'll be bouncing back. And again, just because they lose these games doesn't mean Florida's not a great team. Doesn't mean they're not back again next year. I mean, it is going to be something big to get over, but I think they can do it.
Yeah. Todd said, Ray, I was thinking the same thing. I wonder if there is even sports talk radio mentioning the game. That's a good question. I mean, how much of a topic is it on sports talk radio Miami, Hot takes. I'm sure there's hot takes. Ray said, comparison of how U.S. and Canada media coverage. Canada is all about McDavid being Gretzky-like. ESPN has been all about the Lakers hire over a potential playoff collapse. Isn't that the truth? Welcome to our world, man. That's that guys like us have had to deal with that crap forever and ever. And not to mention here, I'll say it, throwing John Buccigross out there like he's some kind of hockey expert. It's a joke. And anybody that has an inkling of knowledge about the game can see through it. I mean, it's insane. Sorry, I felt that way for 20 years, man. It's just, God bless him. He found a shtick and he's selling a lot of merchandise and things like that. But Mike, I'm just not a fan, No.
And he's been exposed since he's been on the national spotlight too. So I hate your feeling, my feeling, and I know Blake, who's not with us today, but Blake's feelings are the same thing. It's awful.
Yeah. Sean or Detroit, don't you mean Hockey Town? Yeah. We all know about that. Go ahead. Yes, I've talked about it for years. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that.
You know me. I've said, hey, Hockey Town, and I've talked about it's really Red Wing Town. I went out today because I wanted to sport my Edmonton Oilers hat. Do you know I couldn't find an Oilers hat anywhere around here? It was all Red Wing. Sean, here the amazing part was it was Red Wings and Vegas Knights, which I didn't understand that. But it was all Red Wing, and I was like, "You seriously?" I thought it would be, I'm jumping on that train, as I told you guys in our group chat. I'm on the McDavid and the Oilers train. I could not find an Edmonton Oilers hat. Then again, I'm out in South Line, but I went out to the mall and everything, couldn't find a hat. So hey, hockey. Hey, I'll give them credit. They're great Red Wing fans, but overall, there's a few people in this chat. There's you and me. There's people that we have text messages with, and I think that's about it watching that game tonight.
No, I did so many dumb things on the radio over the years. I remember in the 2007 finals talking about game one between Ottawa and Anaheim, and not one person called in. And I said, by the way, you are all just guinea pigs. And I ended my rant with, hey, Hockey Town, and went to commercial because nobody wants to talk about it. And remember, I did the thing with the draft where I said, what if I told you the no doubt about it, number one pick in the NFL draft and number two pick in the NFL draft were playing in a 30-mile radius of where I'm sitting right now? Wouldn't people go nuts for that? And I got done with it, and I said, well, that's what's happening right now. And all you have to do is go within that 30-mile radius to see both those guys play numerous times a week in obviously Tyler Seguin and Hall in Windsor. I mean, it was fantastic. It was like, why wouldn't you want to see that? But I get it. That's no problem with that. By the way, I have a bunch of kids invading the house tonight, like 30 some odd kids invading the house tonight. That's why we're not like having the pregame party. But just in case there is a game 7, Mike and I were talking about this before the show started. Mike, firecracker sausage, beef short ribs. I mean, we're going all out. Even if there are 3 or 4 guys coming over, we're going to cook for 10. But you did some stuff today, including one thing that I need to hear about. All right, I've waited long enough, but I need to hear about your special, I guess, addition to the menu tonight.
Yes. So I was at Kroger, as you know, that carries the Rinaldi sausage, and I was looking for the Motor City because I do this thing where I take the Motor City and I stuff a portobello mushroom with it. So that's what I was looking for. They didn't have it. They had hot Italian, so I used that. But right below it, it said Rinaldi Local Coney Brat. And I'm like, I can't believe this. The lady couldn't explain it to me what it was, so I didn't know if it was a misprint. And it's funny, what ended up happening is I got 2 of them to taste them. So I chopped the 2 up, and I have a few people upstairs. And Sean, they loved it, and they said they could taste the chili. So I go to taste it. The lady gave me 1 Coney, 1 hot Italian. So by the time I got to it, it was all hot Italian. But the people that ate it, and I could see, just like with the one we had, you could see the cheddar in it, you could see the cheese in it, and they said it had a chili taste to it. So
can you go back up there and perhaps buy some, and maybe you and I can,
I am 100% going to head up there. It's the Kroger over on Ted Mile. I'm going to go there tomorrow, and
it's right between our houses, right?
Yes,
like about the midway point of our houses. Yeah.
Yep. When I go to your house, I stop at it all the time. But it was good. And I've got to tell you another thing, Sean. At another Kroger, I picked up a pack of Wagyu, ground Wagyu, and a pack of ground bison. Mix those together. Probably one of the better burgers I've ever made.
Ooh.
Bison lean, Wagyu fat, mixed very well together. Those were also good. But I will go back up there, and I will make sure that she gets to the bottom half of it, and we get all the Coney that we can get.
See what you just said? I'm a firm believer in the 80-90 blend. I really am. Yeah. If I'm making like a shitload of burgers one night, like I'm gonna grab like 2 pounds of the 80-20, and I'm gonna grab 2 pounds of the 90-10. And when you mix them together, the fattier with the leaner, I don't know what it is. There's just something magical about it. There is. There's just something magical about the taste. There's no other way to say it.
And I've got to give myself credit, man. I got a good char on them. I hit perfectly at 145, a nice medium on it. But you are absolutely correct. Like the bison is 90 and above, and then the Wagyu is obviously a ton of fat. They went so well together. I'm going to be doing that again real soon.
You know what? I just did. I just did some brisket burgers and chicken burgers, and of course, there are 8 different racks on right now. But I'll sneak a few. I'll sneak a few. Hot Italian is good for stuffing. Very nice, Todd. How about where's the other one? Hot Italian is the bomb. Mike and I both love that. Like seriously, a hot Italian is just an underrated sausage. I don't know, Mike, in my mind, it's almost the forgotten sausage as we're all trying. Well, let's try this and let's try that. Don't get me wrong. I'll still take the firecracker or a Motor City, but just a good hot Italian sausage. And I'm not talking about burn your gosh damn mouth or anything like that. I just, you know what? Hit me a little bit and we can be friends for the rest of our lives, Yeah,
it's just a little bit of that crushed red pepper in there with your Italian sausage. And it's perfect. I love the seasonings in the Italian sausage.
Jason asked, have you ever heard of this? Have you guys ever heard of the Uper sausage staple called, I don't even want to try to pronounce it. I never have. Kudhigi? Have you heard of that, Mike?
I have not. But
what is it, Jason? I'm intrigued.
But we're going to know about it this year. If this is the thing, we're going to have to get on our UP guys, and we're going to have to get some of this.
Well, we're going to be talking to Micah and Coach Markham and Jeff Finger coming up,
Okay.
and we're going to have to ask them about that, because every time they come down, they bring us some meats from the UP. That's
Yes,
like that
100%.
venison cheddar jalapeno. Oh, that was so damn good that they brought us. So
We
when
ate
Mike
those.
came down, we had to repay the favor, and we had a little spread for him when he came down.
So Gordy here says that he's surprised we don't grind our own burger. It is something I have thought about, making my own sausage and buying a grinder. And the out in Heartland, the Great Lakes butcher that I go to, they've got everything that you need to do it. You can get a grinder there. You can get all the seasonings to make whatever sausage you want. So I think it will probably be one of the first things I do when I retire.
You and I made our own sausages before a
Yes.
few years back, and to say they were cheesy would be an understatement.
And that was good cheese. How good was that cheese we used?
got
That
damn
cheese,
good cheese.
we got the best cheese he had.
Yeah,
Oh,
that
it
was
so good.
the best. That was because that's the way it is. Yeah, we're gonna own a meat market one day, so just don't even.
Yes, it's just gonna happen.
Everybody out there, you're all invited. Mention our dumb show, and we'll give you 10% off or some crap like that. Bill said the 80-20, 90-10 burger mix, ancient Shawnee secret. I'm telling you, guys, seriously, try it. Try it. It's exactly what Mike said. Mike, I love the Wagyu and that bison. That kind of sounds like that. Give me a lean beef, a fatty beef, put them together, and baby, you got a mix.
Yeah, and I used oh god, I'm gonna forget it. What's the famous steakhouse out in Indy with the shrimp?
St. Elmo's.
St. Elmo's. So I've got their steak seasoning, which I just put on my burgers. Put it on that. I'm telling you, go to, I think it was at Bush's. I picked up the Wagyu and the bison. You're not going to be sorry.
I love it. I love it. Now hold on, Todd. What do you got there? Go ahead. Put your picture. Look at that.
Oh,
Isn't that beautiful? Isn't that lovely?
I like it. What is it? It's got to be a little Italian sausage flattened out there with some peppers and onions and cheese.
That's that Kudhigi.
Oh, that's Kudhigi? All right. Is that how you pronounce it? Kudhigi?
Hey, we're going to have to take the bread off that Kudhigi for me to eat it.
Yeah, you can do some gluten stuff. Bill said ground spicy Italian sausage and goulash. Ray said Florida last 2 games showing it's needing Bob to steal a game because they can't win if he's just average. Wasn't that one of the storylines going in? Good Bob or bad Bob? If you got good Bob, you love their chances. Yes. If you got bad Bob, you're terrified of their chances. And again, I think, Mike, that's part of the final last year. Listen, first and foremost, they were the walking wounded, and they were beat up, and Vegas just steamrolled them. I mean, they got those 4 lines rolling and just over and over and over with that size and just ground them into the ground. That's first and foremost. But the second part of that, let's be perfectly honest, was bad Bob showed up. I mean, and again, I don't want to take anything away from Vegas. Vegas ground them into fine dust, but bad Bob had a play in that as well.
Yeah, and he has shown up again. The last 2 games have been horrendous. And can he turn it around is going to be the question. If he can turn it around, he can salvage this. However, the team playing in front of him is not playing good at all. This is the worst case scenario that you could have for Florida. So they're playing bad and bad Bob showing up. You go back to game 1 again. We'll go back to game 1 and talk about Bob saving that game. If bad Bob showed up in game 1, Edmonton wins that game.
Yeah,
they had 50,000 breakaways.
It's interesting. I'm going to say it again, and especially Tkachuk. The way they played in the third period made me think to myself that it's not even close to being lost. You know what I mean? This is not a gas issue, and this is, more of an Edmonton issue. Couple things. Jason said, I sent you a link about Kudhigi. Short story. It's Italian sausage, but a mix of sweet and spicy. Talk to me.
Talk to me. Thank you.
Jim said, I still believe in Bob. Bill said, and Mike will give you the last word here. Any thoughts on tonight over under of 5.5? What are you feeling?
I would hammer the under if I was on any side there. I made the statement when we were on for last game that I believe in games 5, 6, and 7 in the last 3 years, the under has hit 69% of the time. Obviously, it ends up going over last game, but I would bet on the under if I had to take that side. However, all my bets are made with my futures and everything, but I'm having a whole lot of fun with this McDavid run. I am on the McDavid goal train, Sean. Every time McDavid scores tonight, it's coming into my pocket.
I love what Ray said. The McDavid assist through four guys. My age, I can hear Bob Cole calling the Lemieux goal versus Minnesota. Lemieux, what a move! What a goal! I can hear that. I mean, it's 33 years later. I can hear that plain as day. You know, I mean that's exactly what he said.
How great would it be to get him to call that McDavid to Perry goal? It was very similar the way he walked through those D.
Yep. Gordy said, so who is it tonight? My absolute worthless prediction for tonight, 4-2 Florida. Verhaeghe with the winner, Kachuk with the empty netter to get on the board. I'm going with Florida. I am going to go 3-2. I think it's going to be bitter right to the end. I'm kind of leaning 4-3, but I'm going to say 3-2. And I think it's going to be crazy right to the end. But I'm still with Florida. Mike?
All right, this is going to be a little bit long-winded, but I think we have a second here. But I did a little bit of research of best Stanley Cup games in history. The first site I hit on, obviously the most popular was Game 7s, right? There was 11 Game 7s in the top 25, but there were 6 Game 6s, and I'm going to read them off. In 2000, Dallas and New Jersey.
Great game.
All right. Islander, I didn't write the year down. Islanders and Flyers, the Bob Nystrom goal.
80.
Yes. All right. In 1964, the Toronto beat the Wings. In 2010, Hawks beat Philadelphia. In 2013, the Hawks beat the Bruins. That's the only difference in these games. And then in 99, Dallas and Buffalo, the Brett Hull goal. So of those 6 goals, 5 of them had one thing in common.
Illegal?
Overtime. It was overtime. I'm going with overtime tonight. And if McDavid can score his hat trick goal in overtime, I am going to run all the way to your house and tell you all about it. But I'm going with Edmonton in overtime tonight.
All right. Well, if Mike's telling you we'll be back here Monday, and I'm not going to complain because we are going to put, Todd said 5-4 Oil in overtime, which means we'll all be back here Monday, and we are putting on a spread. Enjoy the game tonight. We'll talk soon. Mike, always a pleasure, my friend. Enjoy the game. You're a son of a bitch. I'm really mad at you right now that you have an incredible spread there, and I can't get over. So I just wanted to publicly state that for everybody.
You were invited.
I know I was. That's why I'm so angry that I'm going to be stuck here with 30 kids. But in the meantime, enjoy the game. We'll see you guys all soon.
What the Puck, featuring Sean Belegian. Produced by Todd Losey and Blake Matrazek. Executive produced by Sean Belegian and Todd Losey. Theme song and incidental music by Elliot Middleton. Engineering, mixing, and graphic design support provided by the Unsyndicated Podcast team. Don't forget to like and subscribe to What the Puck on all your favorite channels. While you're there, be sure to rate and review the podcast. Got something to say to Sean? Call the Unsyndicated hotline at 248-237-3257.